G'day there, ladies and ladies. Welcome back to our Nature's Madness run. I am pretty tired, but I'm good to go. Okay, so yeah, now it's December, and I shifted to winter. So I think in this game, every month is a new season, because it's definitely not winter here in Australia, which is interesting. So, last time we evolved Flappy into Ampharos, we evolved Azrael into Marill, hopefully into Azumarill, although I am debating about that, because we could have Marill with an Eviolite. Could work out. We did manage to get a few Pokemon, but I don't think they were particularly good. So, let me just heal up. Right. Yeah, so the replacements that we were potentially thinking of. I remember Joltik not being too bad. What is it? Serious? Yeah, so... Yeah, so that's the same as Alifani, so we can't really use that. So, alternatively, we were thinking maybe Aaron, Jolly. Must switch out after own set is increased. That is manageable. We can work around that. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit sick, I think. But we can work around that. In terms of who to replace, we don't need two steel types, but at the moment we have two bug types that are both double weak to flying. So at least for now, this should be doable, you know? At the very least, I want to try and get a Tynamo. So money's more than repels. And here we are on balls. We might need a few more of those. Okay. Alright, let's go get ourselves a Tynamo. So, I believe it's got about a 4 or 5% chance on this floor. But if we can get to the lower floor, it should be around 8%. So, it'll be easier to find one. So, we're gonna repel until we get there. This way. Okay. So, talking about formulas, was that Corvus or was that someone else? Alright. not sure about all of these. Alright. Okay. We have to use a buffing move before doing anything else. And... yeah, I kind of figured that would happen. Alright, might need to switch out Hera. We need Dig up here. Switch out. Switch out the toe beans. We'll just bounce at it, Azure doesn't get destroyed. What is it? Mario. Okay. Okay, now it's just the rest of us versus this Sandslash. Yeah, we can't even hit over. Great. Yeah, Airpress can't do anything, so we might as well just go for a Razor Leaf, and Slam. And Dig is getting very annoying. There we go. Yeah, so if we go into this second level, we should have a high chance of getting a Dynamo. Alright, so now we're just kind of chilling while we're trying to find a Dynamo. So, if anyone has anything to talk about, now would be the time. So, I'm a combination of like tired, sick, and hot from the heat, you know? So, occasionally I might have to just clear my throat or my nose. But I can still talk. Okay, did not mean fair, but we got it. Hello everybody. The new Mega Z Lucario is going on me. Dude, I'm so sick. It's alright. It's not like a major thing, it's probably just more like, you know, woke up incorrectly today. Or a little bit of dust or something. Yeah, so I'm gonna see the trailer for Mega Z Lucario. I don't really like know what any of the Megas in that trailer look like yet. You said it's hot there? Are we going to a winter wonderland here? Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's seasons for you, right? In Australia it's summer, in America it's winter. You know, even though it's summer, with oh, there we go, Tynamo. So, if we catch this, Rio, you can name it. It's gonna be a female Tynamo, so let's see if we can get it. We can't paralyze it. So, we could try to take down. Or we switch. We're not in the best spot at the moment. Ariana could maybe do it. Yeah, Ariana could weaken it. No, I can't! I can't switch out Ampharos because of its nature. Alright, I'm going back to Ampharos. Because of Ampharos' nature, I can't switch out until I get 2 KOs. Alright. Guess we're going for the takedown. Okay. We can maybe do another one, but the thing is, does Tynamo have takedown? It's like Tackle, Charge Beam, and Thunder Wave, right? Maybe Spark? So we should be good for another takedown. Come on. Alright. We'll try Great Ball. Hey, we got it! Alright, really, you're good to name a female Tynamo. You never know, it could be the MVP of the run. But yeah, even though it is summer in Australia, we have a lot of the Christmas winter marketing, you know, Santa Claus, Snowman, a lot of the Christmas movies, you know, that are American. I'll name her after famous influencer Kanari. Alright. That is doable. Excellent. We need to go back and heal up anyway. Okay, we can use Molly to dig us out of here. And then we'll check on its nature. If it's good, we'll probably replace Buzzer, the Ampharos. But yeah, it is kind of weird, like we get all that winter marketing even though it's summer. I guess it's more about the idea of the tradition than the actual season, you know? And in Australia, we are... I forgot about the breeder! Breeders reset every time we go through the area, you know? Yeah, we don't really get snow in Australia. There's like Mount Kosciuszko, and then a few spots in like Victoria, New South Wales that are very cold. And they get like a little bit during winter. Oh, summer Christmas season would be interesting. How is it growing up with that kind of stuff being advertised or pictured during your summer? Well, it's partly annoying because it's like you're melting and you're seeing that others are, you know, like just trying to warm up, and you know, like you see in movies that, you know, people have snowball fights, they make igloos, they do snow angels, and it's like we can't really do that. But I will also say that it's not too bad because, like, when you're overheating a fair amount, right, and you start picturing snow and ice, it does help you, like, your brain helps you maintain your composure, I guess. It's like tricking your brain into thinking it's a bit colder than it is, you know? So you see, like, people shivering or playing with snow, and it's like, oh, maybe I'm not so hot now, you know? I can just kind of chill. It's a bit of a weird thing. But yeah, I guess it also makes me feel like that, you know, the world doesn't really care about the Southern Hemisphere. You know, like, there's not many times that Africa, South America, or Australia really get represented, especially in American media. Sounds a little at odds, but I like your attitude about it. Yeah. Oh, we should check the Dynamo, sorry. Yeah, it does have its merits, I guess, but, you know, when it is melting and you're seeing that people are like, haha, Snowball, is like, come on, man, please, why can't we have that? But, yeah, like, I've never touched snow. Like, I've never felt it. I don't know what it feels like. Oh, Impish, what do we got? Impish. Must use not very effective moves. Okay. That's gonna be a bit rough. Because Dynamo and Electros really only learn electric and normal type attacks. Maybe we can get like Giga Drain or Scald onto it. So our type diversity for our attacks is very low, and we need to always hit not very effective. So I don't think we'll have enough type diversity to really use it, unfortunately. It is whatever. Aya Winter's Rainy. It was, yeah, it's, even like just this week, it's been pretty wild. Like, it'll be sunny, like, it'll be pretty sunny and clear. Then 5 minutes later, it'll be like pouring down rain, and then it'll be sunny again, like immediately after. It's really been crazy, but November, December is one of our rainier months. Like, we are expected floods around this time. We also get floods around February, kind of March area. Naveen will be sad. Yeah, maybe. I feel like Naveen would be happy that we aren't trying to replicate Canary, in a way. You know, there can only be one Canary, so if I was to use it, I'd be like, trying to say that I'm better than her. It's one of those, like, thinking 5 steps ahead kind of thing. guess we're easier that way. Alright, well we got our time ammo, so we're going to continue on through the cave. But, how are your winters, or how are your Christmas with the snow? Like, what do you kind of do with it? Do you make igloos or snowmen? Do you make ice angels? Or snow angels, rather? This way. We go... Like, what is a typical thing that Americans do? Because I feel like snow would be more annoying than it would be fun, right? You got pipes freezing up, you got the road being extra slippery. Wait, how do we get there? Ah, I think I set it up. Letting the stream run. Oh, yeah, sorry, my roommate started talking to me, so I'll let you know when I get back. All good. Let's see, so we hit this one, then we go up here, there we go. Magnet? I mean, if we can put that onto buzzer. There we go. Excellent. But yeah, I don't know if you saw my announcement, but we had Pokeboys and I did a double Genesect Fairy. He's got one half, I got the other half. Yeah, well, if it's still battle, we'll go Ariana. There we go. So, Pokeboys is... Oh. Okay, we just got Nugget. So, Pokeboys' video is about why Genesect was made. My video is about which Pokemon Genesect really is. Do we go that way, or do we go this way? The age-old question. I guess it's high level, yeah, it's high level 31. Okay, there's trainers this way. So I might need to put up my fan on soon if it gets too hot. Hopefully that won't interfere with the audio. Because it is warming up. You can see on the bottom screen, it's almost 11. And so as you can imagine, it is heating up. I mean, that was pretty good considering it had a reduced attack from the charm. And a crit, just because why not? Now we can't switch until we get 2 KOs, so we're gonna have to deal with this attack drop. While we're battling a ground type. And a steel type of that. This is rough. We are in a bad spot right now. Just stopping in real quick, busy night. Name the next one, drop there. Sure, no matter what it is, it'll be called drop there. But, hope you have a good night. And I'm seeing that you have a little Christmas hat on your dinosaur now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we are in a bad matchup here. Come on, Buzzer! Money and you Confuse Ray? No? At this point, Confuse Ray is helping us a lot. Your phone died last night. I didn't see we ended up in DK. Well, we completed Fungi first. So next week we'll be going on to Crystal Caves. Come on, Buzzer. You've had some miracles in the past. Not today. Alright, now given our rules of nature, we have to send out Selkie. Not the greatest matchup. We can switch immediately if we need to, but I feel like Selkie has a chance. Come on. Ouch. Dang it. Hey. Come on, Ariana. You can slot this mole. Great. Can I hit, please? That's 3 times in a row. Fine. That was a bit more annoying than it should have been. I'm hoping someone around here is offering to heal. I mean, that guy up there looks like a doctor, so... probably just have to battle him. Right, I'm gonna put my fan on to let me know if there's any major disturbance to the volume. Does it sound different at all? Hold up. You'll battle Pokemon even if you can't find a pulse? Matey! Okay, what is this bad matchup? Really bad. We don't have a bug type move. We could switch. But, come on, Hera! Heracross has been really useful on the team so far. Future Sight, that's fine. But we're gonna take it, aren't we? Yep, that hurt. And now a second type. This isn't great. Okay, we are running low on enemies. Here's a question though, do we keep Marill as a Marill? Or do we go into a Azumarill? Let's go Marill. Alright. Healing is great. No, not dig. I meant switch. Ugh. Alright, I'll be back. I guess Ariana's stench should keep the Pokemon away. Or help to keep it away. Alright, we're gonna use the stinky stench of Ariana Grande to help keep the Pokemon away from us. So, what if we go this way? Fun Fest mission. What? Fun Fest mission. Weird. Alright, this is one hell of a matchup. I mean, we can switch to Molly to make it easy, but let's try Ariana. Okay. I mean, that was a crit. We have to send out Silgy. It's pretty defensive, isn't it? Go. We do not want Helping Hand. If Pokemon had like a dedicated doubles mode, then a lot more abilities in Pokemon would be useful. You know, you could have plus and minus, you could have Power Spot, you could have Friend Guard a bit more, you know, like... So if you could choose between singles or double mode for the main game, that'd be pretty useful. Alright, so Trocious fainted, but still might be helping out. Get to the doctor. I'm just gonna ignore the trainers for now. Wait, it says basement 3. Tell you what, Ariana's stench is really helping out with the wild Pokemon. Escape rope. How far does this go? Okay, I gotta check that. I thought you were gonna be like some kind of ancient dragon keeper or something. Oh, rotation battle. It's pretty cool that it can just be randomly out there in the wild, a rotation battle. Okay, you're back. All good. We've just been going through the Charge Stone Cave. Well, I think no matter what, if we rotate to Hera and then use Brick Break, we're doing pretty good. But yeah, like, what do you kind of do during the winter? You know, like, do you make a bunch of snowballs and lob them at kids, or do you make an igloo? Do you put a snowball over a fire hydrant to stop the ruffians, like, running into it? What kind of things do you do? Because yeah, I feel like it would be more annoying than it would be beneficial, right? Frozen pipes, slippery roads, shoveling, yeah, I mean, like, I'm guessing you're not doing it for the fun of it, right? You're doing it because it's like in the way, or you need to, yeah, basically just in the way. So, I don't know, like, would you trade the rest of winter, like all the snow and the cold and all that, just so that you don't have to shovel? Or is it a fair trade? When you were in college, you made a bunch of tiny snowmen. That was fun. Yeah, so I have like no idea how you would even do that, because like, you know, you see that people just like, you know, pick up a bunch of snow and make a snowball. Great, you know? And they just make snowballs of various sizes, make a snowman kind of thing. But like, do you need like a certain percentage of like wetness to it? Like mush or slush? Or can you like be like 100% dry snow and that'll work, you know? Like I have no idea how you would even do that. Because I imagine that since you need the snowball to get bigger as you roll it around, that it would be absorbing the snow, so it needs to be like maybe a little bit wet or something. Oh, metal coat. And an electric gem. But yeah, like, things like making an igloo or a snowman, or even just a snowball, I've never done that, and so it's hard for me to contextualize, I guess. One of these years I should have you come to Washington for my birthday and you get to do some snow activities together. Perhaps. It's definitely an option. I don't think heading to America at this stage is particularly good, but maybe in the future. Hope you understand. I don't mind talking about it. Dang it. But I try to avoid things like politics and religion. Because that, like, you know, if people disagree on it, then it becomes a bit of a mess, you know? But I don't mind talking about it, if you want to. Alright, we might just switch to Molly. Actually, the Substriker can learn Flame Charge, which is actually really annoying for my team. Great. Well, now that the Pokemon has fainted, we have to send out Silky. As long as it doesn't have Flame Charge, we should be good. But, what does the Zed-Lucario look like? Like, can you describe it for me? Do you like traveling? Not really. I've had a lot of like road trips as a kid, and like they weren't that fun. And also it was for things that we didn't really need. Like my dad was a bit of a hoarder, so it would be going around collecting a bunch of stuff, and it was more of a pain than it was great. So I don't like traveling. I would prefer to stay at home. Like, there's a few places I guess I would like to go to in the world. You know, like, I've heard Canada's pretty good. Heard Japan's pretty fun. I guess Switzerland is also pretty neat. A lot of people call it Mimi Hatsenguri. Yeah, I've never heard that. Damn, she really stuck up behind me. I've heard of Hatsune Miku, but Mimi Hatsenguri I've never heard of. Oops, Miku. Hatsune Miku? Is it? Was it Miku Hatsenguri? Yeah, auto-corrected Blossomy. Oh, okay, so it's like supposed to be Hatsune Miku. That's it, right? That's the name. So, I'm guessing it's got like some ribbons or something from the head, like almost like a bandana. I think base Mega Lucario has something like that, so I could see something like that. Or maybe it's the colours. Okay, this is a bad match at first. Like, is it a lot of teal? From what I've seen, it's a fairly accurate description. Fair enough. Okay, so a pretty teal Lucario with maybe like ribbons. I can see that. I don't know, I just feel like Megas are not particularly fun in terms of world building. I would describe the face as close to Anubis. I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It is pretty much Anubis from Egyptian mythology. That's what it's based off. Yeah, they are strong. They have to be very, very particular about their moves. But yeah, like with Megas, I feel like them giving it to the strongest Pokemon rather than weaker Pokemon is like definitely on purpose for sure. You know, people love Lucario, people love Garchomp and you know, Mewtwo and all that, and so it's more of a marketing thing, really. And so, like, Lucario getting another Mega Evolution is kind of like, look, please, we know that maybe you've been not thinking about buying Legends of the but we have another Mega Lucario for you. Please buy it, because you love love Lucario. You know, like Mega Chimecho is good, because it's like, not many people like Chimecho. So, giving it a Mega is pretty cool. But when you give a Mega to an already powerful Pokemon or popular Pokemon, Like, what is it really doing, you know? It's making it harder to use other Pokemon because if they couldn't compete before, they definitely can't compete with Omega, you know? I mean, ZA has sold pretty well. I mean, well, Pokemon is always going to sell well. Relatively. It doesn't... But, like, there's a lot of potential market it could have got. Wait, did we just get a Master Ball? Like, when you look at the... how many people have a Switch, and then compare that to how many people have ZA, you know, it's a lot higher... Like, it could have been a lot higher than it is now, is what I'm trying to get at. You know, like, there's definitely an alternate reality where Pokemon does better, and there are more people that, you know, get the games. But I think, since really the Switch with Pokemon, more and more people, including myself, have drifted away from buying the games, and so it could have been higher. So even though it's maybe in your eyes pretty well, I think in their eyes it's not doing too good. Like, in terms of like overall numbers. You know, like, yeah, like, sure, I don't know how much it's actually sold, but, you know, whatever it is, it may sound impressive, right? But, in terms of how big Pokemon is, it's not that impressive. It could be higher. So, we got a Master Ball, right? Damn, we got a Master Ball before the 6th gym? That's pretty cool. Alright, just curious though, what is your measurement of success? Well, for starters, the Metacritic score would be great. But ZA has a good Metacritic score, but it doesn't have a good user score. So getting a good user score would be a pretty good indicator. If you go to ZA and look at the user score, it is much lower than the critical score. And I don't really trust critics, I trust the user score a bit more. And so the user score is a pretty good measurement. Sure, it is numbers, I guess, but you need to keep in mind like how much potential audience you're getting. You know, are you getting new members, or is it just people that have already bought the game, you know? Like, let's say 10 million get Sword and Shield, then 10 million get Scarlet and Violet, then 10 million get Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Legends ZA. It's all about growth, and if that number isn't growing, it's not particularly great. Like, are those people the same people that bought the previous games? Or have they left and new fans are trying to get in to experiment? It's our girl Yancy again. So, I don't know numbers off the top of my head, but I don't think the number is growing too well. At least not at the moment. If that makes sense. Like, from a financial perspective, right? ZA is successful. Because it had a budget of like 13 million, right? And so it only needed 200,000 copies to break even. 5.8 million copies sold. Yeah, it wasn't... Scarlet and Violet was like a lot, right? It was like 10 or 20 million. I don't really know the number, but the budget for ZA was about 13 million, so they needed about 200,000 copies to break even. Right? Given the size of Pokemon, that's basically just pennies. Okay, so we do drop off if we are not careful. And so it is really cheap for what it is, but it sells well, right? Like, it's financially successful because they are keeping the budget so low with their install base. So they're kind of min-maxing the profits, if that makes sense. So yeah, financially, it is successful for what it is. But I think overall, it isn't as successful as people like to imagine. I guess we'll see in about a year, like how well ZA goes in a year's time. Is it the best Pokemon game ever? Is it the worst? Will people still be playing it? Will people move on? Hopefully the budget for Gen 10 is triple A level, so triple A level, so that way it gets the quality that people are wanting. Yeah, that's a lot of the hope that Pokemon fans kind of live off. We can only really hope that, but we can't. Unfortunately, realistically, we cannot really hold them to that, I would love it if they put in more effort and more budget, right? But if I'm being realistic, I don't think it's gonna happen. Unless something drastic changes in terms of, development. Now, are there any new Pokemon here? Can we get... don't know what... oh, hang on, we don't have one of those. We need one of those. I get that, people probably think that ZA is doing really good, but in terms of overall with Pokemon and numbers that they're kind of dishing out, it's not doing too good. I hope that makes sense. Instead of was it 5.8 million you said? It could be in the 15 to 20 million range. But it's not. And so the number does seem impressive, 5.8 million. That's an impossibly high number for me, right? If I were to make a game and it sold 5.8 million, I'd be happy. But I don't think Pokemon's particularly happy at the moment. I understand that you're wanting a better critical review. Yeah, I'm not, I don't have much reason to play ZA. I don't do shiny hunting. I don't care about collecting, completing the Pokedex, The only thing that would be interesting to me would be the battles, because I'm not particularly keen on the story either, or the city. So the only thing that's potentially interesting. We gotta name this females of tracker, by the way. The only thing that's potentially interesting for me in terms of ZA is the battle. The battle combat system. And from what I've kind of seen about it, I don't think I'm that interested in it. And so, I imagine that if you're a shiny hunter, or if you like to collect a lot of Pokemon, it's pretty fun. You can just grind on it for a few hours and be chill. But for people like me that want to have more of an experience that's not shiny hunting or collecting Pokemon, there isn't much to really go for, there's different kinds of Pokemon fans. There's competitive Pokemon for a reason, and it's because the combat of Pokemon is pretty good. You can go pretty in depth with it, but I don't think you can go too in depth with ZA's combat. So I'm not really interested. I think the battle system is a big upgrade, and I hope they keep the mechanic going forward. It is an interesting idea. Definitely baby steps for sure, but it is interesting. I would like some polish to be made to it for sure. But, you know, it's not like the first game to do that, if that makes sense. Like, there's been the Xenoblade games, there's been Ni no Kuni, where it's kind of like a similar real-time dodging kind of thing. So, it is a good first step, but I feel like it should definitely be improved. You know? Like, I feel like the combat would be more interesting if there were abilities, for example. Like, why can't there be abilities, you know? If you're going to rework how moves are with the cooldown, with the, you know, the stronger the move, the longer the cooldown, right? So if you're gonna rework that kind of battle system, you could rework the abilities as well. So maybe Intimidate happens every, like, 30 seconds, you know? Maybe Speed Boost happens every 30 seconds or something, you know? Like, I feel like they could have tried to implement the abilities. It may not have worked, but it could have been interesting. And it gives, like, Pokemon like Gengar, you know, immunity to ground type moves, you know, like, I see no reason why not to try it, really. Alright, what are we gonna call this thing? Oh yeah, we're gonna call it Drop Air. Meteor's already coined that. But yeah, I imagine ZA is really good for shiny hunters and those that like to collect. But if you're looking for combat or story, it's probably not for you. We differ about why we enjoy Pokemon, and I appreciate that. And for Legends ZA, I really value the way the story and lore was focused on, and I'll say Legends games don't seem to want to bring in abilities. Yeah, I don't know why I don't want to bring it in. Like, you know, we've had abilities since Gen 3, so why not have it, you know? But yeah, it's good to differ about opinions. We kind of talked about it a bit yesterday about differing opinions and all that, you know? But it is good. Like, I do want Pokemon to be better. I think we can all kind of agree on that. What that means might mean different things for different people, but I feel like asking for Pokemon to be better is not really a controversial thing. So, are there any other Pokemon around here? We haven't really been finding any. We could do a battle collab sometime. What do you mean like that? Do I go into the gym? Do I battle the trainers? Let's check on Zebstrika. I might get a drink while I think it over. But I don't have like any online. I don't have NSO. So I won't be able to do any of that. And I definitely can't hook up my Switch Lite to like monitor or anything, you know? The Switch Lite isn't as supported as the base Switch. So I wouldn't really be able to stream much of it anyway. If we're doing like modern games, you know? So, careful. Can't use moves unless they are 100% accurate. That is doable. That is completely doable. So, the question does become, do we replace Buzzer, our Ampharos, with Drop Bear, the Zebstrika? Very interesting question. I'm just gonna get a drink while we kind of think about that. Alright. I'm back. Just kidding. Anything? I'm not really a big bettor, but if it's your gym, then it'd be fun to figure out a way to play it together somehow. The tournament you hosted, is that a free online game? Yes. Pokemon Showdown is a free website that you don't really even need to log in, you can just kind of go onto it. You can build teams for pretty much all of Pokemon's history. So, we could do a battle on that if you wanted to. So Striker is interesting. Can't decide. Yeah. I think... Let's go with Zip Striker over Buzzer. But if we're lucky, we might be able to get something like a culture in the area, you know? But yeah, training really, have you played much of the older games? I can't remember if I asked you. Like, are you more of a modern Switch Pokemon fan, or are you, like, or have you played some of the older games like Platinum or Heart Gold or Emerald or Crystal or something? Okay, so this is our new team. Drop Bear to Zebra. Great. Do we train or do we go straight to the gym? We probably need to train a little bit. At least decide if we want to keep Meryl or evolve it. Alright, let's battle some of these fools. Johto has been my favourite region in game for a long time. Yeah, I think you mentioned like Gold, Silver, Crystal. Or are you talking Heart Gold, Soul Silver? But yeah, tell me what you kind of like about her. This is a good chance to test out our Drop Bear. Destroy. I've been thinking about it, and I feel like the lore in Galar, Paldea, History, and Chaos has been a focus for gameplay for the Switch games. The lore, huh? So, yeah, you think that the modern Switch games are more just focused about the lore rather than like the gameplay or something? Is that what I'm getting at? I mean, that's a good trade, but no thanks. So I feel like my favourite story in the new generations is Scarlet and Violet. I have heard that people enjoy that. I didn't play Scarlet and Violet. I just wasn't really interested, you know. Alright, True Battle. Like, there is something to not having much lore, you know, it makes you kind of think about it a bit more, and imagine it, you know, like, yeah, I guess it's similar with the 3D models, right? Wait. Oh, it's triple battle, not rotation battle. There we go. Um, like, even the older sprites, right? We are in a bad spot for Ducklet, with Hera, rather. Like, you think about the older 2D sprites, right? And how that would cause you to imagine what the Pokemon would look like. You know, before the anime and the stadium games and stuff, like, you would get these images on screen, and you gotta kind of imagine what they're like. But then, you know, everything goes 3D, and then it kind of loses the bit of the charm about that, you know? Like, you don't need to imagine it anymore, you can just see it. I feel like since Scarlet, the main series games have created some incredible designs, and I'm so pleased with Animal Fantasy. There definitely are a few good designs. And I guess there's Pokemon that I like, but other people don't like. And I guess it's similar Pokemon that I hate that other people maybe don't hate. But yeah, some of them feel pretty good. Some of them feel kinda lazy though. And I feel like the laziness comes from like lack of detail on the Pokemon. Like, there aren't really much textures on some Pokemon. Or like, you can kind of tell that it's a Pokemon that's made in a simple way for like copy pasting stuff. Something like in the newer generation, was it Spidops? It's got a bunch of like basic cylinders on its arms. You know, it doesn't have much detail on it or anything of really note, they're just kind of cylinders. And so I feel like that's pretty easy to create, like using software. You know? So I'm not a big fan of Spidops, but Frenzizen is good. Do we keep Meryl or do we evolve it? We benefit from Eviolite as a Meryl, but we do get better stats as an Azumarill. But you're right, and what I love about Johto is definitely the absence of war and being able to understand the environment to pick up the implications of war. Yeah, so that's pretty much like a universal thing with media, right? You think about a horror movie, right? Is it scarier if you know what they look like? Or is it scary if you don't know what they look like? You know? Whatever you imagine in your head is going to be scarier than what it is going to be. Right? Because that's the paranoia, the kind of fear of the unknown, all that stuff from the human brain. You create a worse nightmare than what the actual monster is, right? And so, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Eviolite Meryl just for the sake of it, and being similar to the anime where it's like we don't have an unevolved, or we don't have a fully evolved Pokemon. So, let's try it. And it's the same kind of thing with like the lore and story of games. Like, it's better if you don't know too much about it and you can think about it, because whatever you think of is going to be better than what they're going to produce, right? I've got like 28 theories at the moment, and I can pretty much guarantee you that none of them are actually true. You know, like, if I'm being honest, I don't think any of my theories are true. But I feel like it's better than what Pokemon could have come up with. Or at least did come up with. And so, hang on, my throat's really annoying. Okay. So the more recent games, that's like all about text boxes, right? Like so much dialogue and cutscenes and stuff. I feel like it really takes the fun out of it. you don't get to really imagine it, you're just kind of told what's good and what's evil. You don't really get to explore because you get a bunch of cutscenes and, you know, fade to black. Like, if they're gonna be cutscenes, at least make them interesting. I kid you not, if you replay Legend ZA, I want you to count how many times it fades to black. Like, truly. I do feel like a Legends game telling us that the evolutions rescue all the Pokemon from the burnt tower would be incredible affirmation. Yeah, so something like that would be pretty cool. For sure. Like, you know, expanding a bit further on some of the region's lore would be pretty good. It really depends on how to handle it. Because I'd like them to just be more than basic. I'd like them to go a little bit deeper, you know? You know, like, we live in an age where a bunch of kids use, like, devices. They use, like, tablets and phones when they're, like, 3 years old, right? They get fed a bunch of, like, AI content, they get fed a bunch of low-effort things, you know, just to entertain them, right? We need more critical thinking as a society, really. Having, you know, a bit of a deeper plot, having some darker motifs would be great. I know it's like rated E for everyone, right? But I feel like you can go a little bit further, a little bit more sophisticated or intelligent, you know? Makes it more appealing to the adults, makes it more valuable to kids. Because, like, you think about how many words you've learned from Pokemon, right? Like, as a kid, and tell me if you heard of paralysis outside of Pokemon. Like, do you know how to spell paralysis outside of Pokemon? You know? And, you know, you learn a lot of terminology, like flinching, you know, you hear, I can't really think too much about it, but you do learn a lot from the older games, you know, about, like, science and words and stuff. Like, fan theories are incredible, but understanding the vision of the creators is awesome too. Yeah. It just kind of feels like the creators don't have much of a vision at the moment. It's just a device used for making money at the moment. ZA definitely went to a place in the story, telling that you are explaining. Yeah, so I don't know too much about the ZA story. I might have to look it up and then judge it. But I imagine that the overall plot is okay. I just don't like the implementation of the wild areas into the city. I feel like that could have been handled a bit better. You know? Like, they touched upon it, like, you know, hey, Pokemon are actually causing some chaos, but, like, not really. You can watch your playthrough. Oh boy. I imagine that's gonna be quite a long series. Okay, so this guy's a breeder, so it means that we're gonna have to keep battling him every time we go past him, so that's annoying. Maybe I've already re-battled him, I'm just kind of brain fried at the moment. Let's see, 9 episodes. We did do a marathon stream for 12 hours on the first day. Pretty impressive, if I'm gonna say so myself. 12 hours is a nutty amount of time for a game. I know the majority of it, but the thing is, like, a lot of the story elements I think come later on. And so, like, you know, I've probably seen like the first like 10 or so hours, right? But the story really picked up in the 20-hour mark, you know? Oh, it's our girl Yancy, I believe. Hey, girl. Like, the kind of story I'm interested in, like, learning about with ZA is the kind of last finale arc, you know? Things like what's happening with Lysander and the tower and stuff like that. I don't care about, like, the start of it, really. You definitely don't have to, but I talked about the implications of this game and what it meant to X and Y and what the future of the game could be. It was a lot of fun. Fair enough. Yeah, like, what I would have liked from ZA, I guess, is a bit more about the region rather than the city. Really. Like, there's a lot of questions about the region that haven't really been answered, and so this third game that we're finally getting, ZA, would have been a great chance to really touch up on some of that. Jeez, that was a crit. Okay. For example, there's a ghost girl in Lumio City in X and Y, but that never gets explained. Now, does that get explained in ZA? Probably not. Let's go here. Yeah, dude. Wait, does it actually get explained? There's also that entire city, right, with that big prison thing that when, you know, the clock strikes at a certain point, it showcases where the megazones are in the region. Like, can we get a bit more lore about that? Like, what's the whole deal with that crystal, you know? There's also, like, the history in that, there's also that history in that Parfum Palace thing, you know, like, with the Furfru. Because, you know, you got, like, knights and it's a royalty rich thing. Like, that isn't really explained. It would be great if we got a bit more detail about that. You know? The Ghost Girl is how important. I think we get in the DLC, maybe. Maybe. I wouldn't count on it, but maybe. If we're lucky, we can counter and get a KO. Or we cannot. Alright, well, we have to send that Silky. There is reference to Astoria, but with all the mega crystals around the missing out, I think the implication is that it has to do with the weapon that AZ made. Yeah, like... Yeah, so it's basically like a lot of the lore about the weapon and Team Flare and stuff would be great. So maybe it does have that, maybe I gotta look into it a bit more, but that's the kind of thing I'm the most curious about. You know, you got like Dendermere Town, which is pretty cool. You got wait. Chat Auckland young man. Ah, okay. so... Do we have the roaming legendaries now? Because that could be something we use a Master Ball on. You know what? If we find it, we'll use it, alright? But yeah, there's a lot of things in Gen 6 that could have been expanded upon. Also, there is a museum in the game that is so incredible. We get an idea about Parfum Palace and AZ's brother, who is Lysander's ancestor. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know. Oh, hello. Wait, Mum used to work at the Pokemon Center? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You don't get that in modern Pokemon games. You don't get any lore about your mum. Which would be great. I think we take on the gym. With our motley crew. Yeah, so... The thing is, with Azur's brother, did he get wiped out in the initial blast? Or did he, like, survive? Because, like, I hate it when it's like a character will die, and then they'll be like, oh, but I've secretly got a kid, you know? And they just live on throughout, you know, forever, you know? Like, did Azur's brother get immortalized as well? Or did he die during the war? Like, you know, what are we kind of dealing with here? There is a Geosenge stone in Lysander's cafe. Yeah, so Geosenge is also not really explained too well. Like, it has something to do with the weapon for sure, but maybe it's expanded upon in ZA. Again, I'll need to look over the story, and then be able to fully judge it. But I just wasn't really that interested in it. You know, like I'm not. If I'm gonna get ZA, I'm not getting it for the story. Hello? Jeez. Wow, I reckon he just like full on ran into me. Wait, what? So do we have to time it? Okay, so it's an actual timing puzzle. You don't get that in Pokemon. What the hell? This is awesome! Yeah, I'm always good. Like, has there ever been like a real-time puzzle before? I know you get like, you know, things in like Sword and Shield and like Skull and Bark and stuff like that, but like in terms of like the 2D games, I think this is the only actual thing where it's you gotta time it. Okay, we are kind of on the level here. We gotta use our first action to buff. I am sorry for like being pretty pessimistic about Pokemon NZA. If you do enjoy it, that is great and all. But yeah. But yeah, man, as far as Zotown goes, there's the main in-your-face story, but I see the classic implication of War 2. The battle system is chaotic and fresh. I feel like the Pokemon catching... I guess he ran out of words there. Yeah, so I would like the battle system to be a little bit more in-depth, but I guess it is a good first step. And collecting and the main mechanics kind of do take a backseat. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not really a shiny hunter or someone that likes to collect the Pokédex. Complete it. So, like, catching a bunch of Pokemon doesn't sound too interesting to me. And while I'm waiting for the DLC, shiny hunting is pretty dull. Yeah, I can imagine that. But like, if the combat was like really good, not just like average or decent, right? If it was really good, then I'd probably play it, you know? Like if there were abilities, it was a bit easier to control where your Pokemon moves. Like if you could do it with like the right stick or something, instead of the left stick, basically. You know, if Pokemon... Do Pokemon speed affect how fast they actually move around, or is it just the cooldown of their attacks? You know, like... I wish that it was a bit better, for sure. I just don't feel like it's got enough depth to it, especially with, like, from what I've heard about the post-game content. There isn't much post-game content besides catching and, you know, shiny hunting. It mainly affects cooldown. Yeah, I thought so. ZA is definitely trying to get the short-term players, so I really enjoyed. So I've already read that. Yeah, so... Yeah, I feel like it could have gone further, you know? We could have had more of everything. You know, if we're having an entire game in the city, right? There are games like Cyberpunk, there's Grand Theft Auto, there's like the Arkham games, right? Even Spider-Man, you know? They're all like a big city, right? That you can really explore around. You've got a bunch of movement options, you know? And so like, even just a bigger city, like if Lumos was say triple the size, I feel like it'd be better. You know, maybe a bit more Pokemon diversity, like having some of the DLC Pokemon as part of the base game adds a bit more diversity to your teams would be great. If the battling was just a little bit, it doesn't take too much to improve it, right? It does have some good fundamentals, but I feel like it only takes a few tweaks for it to really change. If it had some decent post-game content that is like a battle facility, you know? Like, have all Pokemon set to level 50, you battle endless, like, random trainers so you can't really prepare, you know? Or with fully evolved teams, you know? I feel like that would be something, right? But I will say that the production of the game went into the character story, into the character storytelling and the side quests. And for me, I loved all of that. And what I want from Pokemon is to figure out how to make. You gotta choose your amount of words carefully because you keep getting cut off there. Okay, we might switch to the drop there. Yeah, so... Yeah, I've heard that the characters are a bit better. Like you got that dancing girl, was it Lida or something? Canary seems pretty decent. People love Jacinth and Ivor. Figure out how to make Pokemon interact with the environment, like the way we know Pokemon and like the friendship. Yeah, like, you know, if like it really just feels like Pokemon are just kind of there, right? It would be great if they had more interactions with the world, like especially with like cutscenes and stuff. Dang it. Like, we need Pokemon to bounce around a bit more, you know? Animations in Pokemon have always been kind of an issue. Like, look at the like Sword and Shield kind of cutscenes, right? You got like the legendary dogs turning on the spot while walking. Like, why can't we have a better turn animation, you know? So, and like, a lot of the animations I kind of skipped over because they decided to fade to black. I definitely recommend that if you are going to play the game again, I want you to count how many times it fades to black. And then tell me if each of those fades of black were really necessary. And I definitely get that people are wanting a... Yeah, I gotta dodge the wind. Definitely get that people are wanting to get a better quality from Game Freak, but I'm far more accepting of games that come out because I want to play and spend time on that loud. Yeah, so I guess for you... you prefer quantity of games? Like, you would rather have something rather than nothing for, you know? I prefer quality over quantity, which means that I would rather wait 5 years for a good game than to buy a game like every year. No! But yeah, like, you know, both are pretty valid, right? You want to play games one way or the other. You prefer just playing anything, as long as you can play something, and quality comes later. I prefer playing, like, games with a bit more quality, and I don't care too much about the quantity of games. You know, I'm fine with a Pokemon game every 5 years, if it means the Pokemon game is going to be good. I am not too keen on like a Pokemon game like every year or every 2 years, you know? I don't need it that badly. Right, if you want some games to like kind of fill in the void between Pokemon games, I can recommend some. You know, I can even recommend other creature capturing games that, you know, you might be interested in. Because remember, competition is great for business. Pokemon doesn't really understand that with everything going on in Power World, but if you play some other games, right, and you see some things that you really enjoy, then you go back to Pokemon and, like, I know it's going to sound kind of awful, but there are games that have amazing ideas. And then as soon as you go back to Pokemon, it's like, why can't we have that? Why can't we have that level of care or, you know, detail? Alright, well, we picked up a bunch of fresh water from the gym challenges, so we should be good to battle. This isn't gonna be too easy. Let's just start with drop down and see how we go. Also, gotta say, Skylar is looking pretty good. You know? Like, in terms of designs, Skylar's a beauty, you know? I think from that angle you can see why. Anyway, that's not awful, and I fully agree that Game Freak needs to understand that it's not sustainable to not have competition. Hi Skylar. Yeah. Yeah, so I can recommend some other Pokemon style games. And I'd be curious to see what you kind of think about them, really. You know, like, are you buying Pokemon because it's Pokemon? Or are you buying Pokemon because of the game? Like, if Pokemon ZA was a different name, like if it was a no-name first game of an entry, right? If it was like, if it was called, say, Bagmon, you know, instead of Pokemon, Bagmon, right? And it was that game, would you consider buying it? Would you consider playing it? Would you enjoy it? Like, if it wasn't Pokemon, would you still play it? It is an interesting question. Are you buying Pokemon because it has Pokemon in it? Or are you buying Pokemon for, like, the gameplay? That might be where a lot of our differences come from. Because a lot of people buy Pokemon for the Pokemon, you know, shiny Pokemon, shiny hunters, collecting Pokedex, you know, people buy Pokemon for the Pokemon, right? But I buy Pokemon for the gameplay. If that makes sense. Like, I feel like that's a good way to kind of understand it. But yeah, like, are you buying it for the gameplay? Or are you buying it for the Pokemon? You know? I definitely like other games. Fair enough. Well, I can recommend some Pokemon style games if you'd like. And I would be curious to see what you kind of think about it. Scummy. This is your ace, huh? Come on, drop there. If we can get fastest, that'd be great. I don't think I will ever not buy a Pokemon game though. That is a very dangerous mentality, if I'm being honest, right? Because, like, if Pokemon decides to halve the budget for the next game and cut even more corners, would you still buy it? Like, how low can it go before you don't buy it? How bad does one game need to be before you decide, okay, maybe I won't buy the next one? You know, like, will you buy Pokemon no matter what? Is the question. We have to send that Silky. We can do it if we get a good bug fight. I'd buy a game at half the quality, yes. And... okay, we did manage to win, which is great. And if it's not a game that I like, I'll be honest about it. Fair enough. I guess that's another way that we differ, right? Like, buying a Pokemon game, no matter what, is interesting, but it is, in my opinion, not exactly wise, right? Like, from my perspective, I've had some bad Pokemon games, and I'm like, I do not want to buy another Pokemon game if it's going to be similar quality, right? Or can we just... Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah. Oh, got a little cutscene of Skylar. Cool, we'll worry about that later. But yeah, it's like, did not exactly enjoy Sword and Shield. And so I'm not going to get really a Pokemon game until I've heard that it's really good, like from everyone, not just critics. I want user scores to be high as well. If you're buying Pokemon kind of no matter what, then it doesn't really matter what kind of quality you want, right? Like, if you're gonna buy it, no matter what they put into the game, I feel like that kind of diminishes some of your standards. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl objectively is the worst Switch game out currently. Yeah, yeah, I can see that, but I definitely don't think the other Pokemon Switch games are particularly good. At least not compared to the older Pokemon games. They all have their kind of downside, I enjoyed that it was practically the same as Diamond. Kind of wish that it was a Platinum remake. See, that's the thing, we're still waiting for a good Gen 4 remake, because why is it that Platinum is objectively better than Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? Why is that Gen 4 game still competing with a Gen 8 game? Now, Gen 3 games like Emerald competing with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, it is very close, right? There isn't too much of a difference. There are a few things on either side, but either way, they're both relatively high, right? But Platinum versus Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, it's obvious who kind of wins, Platinum is the better game. Why is a Gen 4 game out competing a Gen 8 game? Make it make sense, But, yeah, with getting that gym badge, that's probably going to be it for today. I know that we've had our differences with our conversation, but it has been pretty interesting. As long as we're able to keep it civil, I think it's pretty worthwhile, So I do appreciate you stopping by and dealing with all my rants, and I hope I've been able to cause you to think about some things. I can recommend other non-Pokemon games if you would like, to broaden your horizons and maybe change what kind of things you like from Pokemon, but all things considered, that's going to be it for today's stream. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you later. Alright, it was an incredible conversation, ladies and men. Thank you. It's always good to have a conversation, but anyway, we'll be heading out, so see ya.